Hi, in this video we are going to discuss about classes and objects. So what is a class? See, class is nothing but it is a collection of member function and data member. It's a collection of data member and member function. Here data member represents the variable and the member function represents a function or procedure. In other way, we can also say that a class is a one way used to create a user-defined data type. This is a basic definition for class. And the next concept, because if you want to access the members of the class, we need an object. What is an object? An object is nothing but it is an instance, or otherwise it is called as a variable of the class. Object is nothing but it is a variable of the class. How we are declaring the variable for other data types like integer, string, single, double. In the same way, we need a variable. We need a variable of a class that is called as object. It's a simple definition about object. Let us see the syntax how to create a class. So if you go for the syntax, so here the access specifier. So access specifier, then class, class name, and then end class. Within this, we have to include data members as well as methods or otherwise member functions. So this is a simple syntax to create your class. Here, class is a keyword and the class name is our own name. Whatever we want, we can give. So this name, this class name will act as a data type to create an object. Okay. And if you go for the access specifier, it defines the access level of the particular class, or otherwise it defines the scope of the class. Okay, it will have a public, protected and private. Already if you have studied about C++ and other OOPS language, in that you might have gone through this. So there are three possible access specifiers are there: one public, protected and private. So if you talk about private, it is not possible to directly access outside from the outside the class. And protected is also private and protected, or it is strictly not possible to access directly. If you go for a public, it is possible to access directly. That is, here the table is given. If you look at the table, you can understand what it means. That is, now there are three access specifiers for the private, protected and public. Okay, and within the class member, how about these members? All three members are possible to access inside the class. Whereas if you go out of the class, that is true. If you are trying to access through the objects, then private member is not possible to access and protected member is not possible to access. Only the public member is able to access through the object, or otherwise outside the class. If you want to access members of the class, it is only possible to access the public members. Okay, public members only unknown or eligible to access outside the class. Within the class, all three are possible to access. Okay, the same concept. Let me explain with an example. Before that, what is the syntax to declare the object? That we will discuss. Okay, and anyway, this is the example for to define your class. That is, public is the access specified, which means that it is possible. The scope is global one. So public class first. The name of the class is first. And inside that I have declared 4 members. Out of these 4 members, 3 are the data members. That is A, B, C are the 3 are the data members. In that, one is a private, A is a private member, and B is a protected member, and C is a public member. Then one more member function is also available, named as add. It is a function and its scope is public, which means that it is possible to access outside the class. Within the class means here only. This is the scope of this particular class. That is, within this, if private or protected means it is not possible to access outside the class. Only within the class it is possible to access. Next we will discuss about the syntax to create an object. Now, if you see this, as like the other variables, how we are declaring the other variables. So like integer based on variable based on integer, single, double, like that. In the same way, now we are going to create a variable based on the class. That's the only thing. Class is the user defined data type. So for that the syntax is, and one more thing is, class is a reference variable. So that is why you have to use the keyword called new. It's a very important thing. It's not present in other data variables like integer or something. Okay, but class is a reference variable. That is why we have to use the keyword called new, which is going to allocate the memory during the runtime. New is the operator which will allocate the memory during the runtime. Okay, the syntax what it says is dim object name. This is our own name, user defined name, that we can give anything. Okay, equal new class name. This is the class name through which we are going to create the object. Okay, for example, already I have created a class called the first. So based on that I am going to create an object dim obj1. Now my object name is obj1. This is the object of first class, which is equal to new first of. Okay, this was simple syntax to declare the object. Now I told you how to create a simple class and how to create an object. And this is the program. I'll let you know through the example. Now, based on this, I'll explain you a simple program. The same class is declared here. Here you see here, this is the class definition is given here. That is public class first. In this, three members are there: private, A as integer, protected, B as integer, public, C as integer. In this, only three members are declared. All three are the data members. In that, one is private, and the second one is protected, and third one is the public. Now, if you go here, suppose, and class is over. Now, just outside the main, I have declared the class. Now, if you see here, I created the object. The name of the object is object1 based on the class first. Okay. Now, I am trying to assign the values for all three members, A, B, and C. So, if you want to access the members of the class, you know already that, or if you don't know, I'll tell you the syntax. If you want to access the members of the class through the object, then you have to use the keyword like this. That is object name dot member name. Object name dot member name. That is, for example, here the member names are A, B, C, and all three members are possible to access through object one. If you try, you can identify whether it is possible to access outside or not. That we find right now. Okay. So anyway, the general syntax to access the members through object is object name dot member name. So now I'll type object name. My object name is object1 dot A. I'm trying to access A. Okay, say for example I'm giving the value as 50. Then object1 dot B equal to 70. Now if you go through these two lines, it shows the error. And one more thing, you can also note down the thing. When you type the object1 dot, immediately it will display under the drop down list menu or in the context menu whatever the public members or whatever the members which is possible to access by this object will display. In that, if you see, only C alone is displayed. The reason behind it is C alone is the public member. The other two are private and protected. As I said already, private and protected members cannot be accessed outside the class. So that is why this particular two statement showing the error. If you see the error, you can understand that. Now what it says is first dot A is not accessible in this context because it is private. Okay, and at the same error is shown because it is protected. So that is why that's what the simple statement what it says is outside the class if it's not possible for you to access private and protected members, whereas the public members are possible to access. That's what I'm doing here, and nothing, just from the outside I'm trying to assign the value to C, that is the public member of the class, and the same is displayed here. And if you run it, you are able to see the output also. Now just moving on that. Okay, let us run the program. Now see that nothing is there. Just I'm trying to display the output for that is what is assigned to C, that is displayed here. So for C, I have assigned the value 40 and the same is displayed. Okay. Let me explain the another program which has the right now. You see, if you see the another program, the same program only a little bit extended. In that, increase the size. Okay. In that, if you see one more two methods or two functions are included. In that, one is a function, the other one is a procedure. So now, if you see the same class extended to have 5 members. In that, 3 members are data members and 2 members are member functions. In that member function, one is a private, the other one is a public. The same case, what is applicable for data member, the same is applicable for member function also. That is, private member cannot be accessed outside. Only the public members can be accessed. So now, based on first class, I have created the object 1. Then one more variable is created, because here what happens is this add function will add 2 values of A and B, 2 members. A and B is added here, and that is stored on C. The same C is returned. As it is returned, the value which is returned by this method is stored on the variable X, and the same is displayed here. Now, if you go here, as it is a private member, in this private member I am not doing anything, just simply assigning the values for the private and protected members, A and B, the values, because as I said already, this particular, all the private and protected members can be accessed inside the class only, not outside the class. So now if you see, input 1 is a member which is available inside the class itself. So that is why it is possible to access A and B. So by in this method, A and B's values are assigned here, 50 and 20. And next, as it is a private member, it is not possible to access outside. That is why what I am doing is, in the public function add, I am calling the input function. Now it will call this and it will assign the values. After that, the values of A and B added, and C is, that is stored in C, return, and the same is returned to calling function. Okay. Now if you see this, the same thing I said, that is, whenever you want to call the member of the class, it is possible through the object. So that is why object 1 dot add and call it. As it returns, the return value is stored on the variable called X, and the same is displayed. Okay. Now I execute the second program. Okay. Just I am changing the startup object. This you know already, and I am trying to run now. So 50, 20 value is given. After adding it, 70 is given, and that is displayed here. With a simple program, I have explained you both the concepts. Okay. So from this you can understand how to create a class and how to create an object. Okay. Now the same program is given here also. With the same program, I have explained. That is, here the same thing I told. That is, object A is not possible to access because it is private. Object B is also not possible to access because it is protected. And this is the second program. Okay. I think with this you can understand how to create a class and how to create the object. Thank you.